Welcome, masterpiece makers. Today we're embarking on an exciting journey to the colorful land of India and Nepal. We're going to discover the world of Mithila and the style of art called Madhubani, which literally means honey forest. Isn't that a beautiful name? Imagine yourself at ancient times in the kingdom of Mithila. Legend has it that King Janak asked artists to create paintings to celebrate his daughter Sila's wedding to Prince Rama. But guess what? For centuries, this art stayed hidden within homes. It was a massive earthquake in 1934 where the walls crumbled and a British officer named William Archer discovered these stunning paintings on the walls that were exposed. He was so amazed, he shared them with the world. Now, this form of art is created by women. Girls watch their mothers carefully paint intricate paintings on the walls of their home. This art is passed from mothers to their daughters, generation after generation. And the most special moment is when they decorate the kobar, the room where newlyweds live after their wedding. Now let's pretend that we're artists from long ago. Feel the smooth mud walls beneath your fingers. Now you're not going to use a paintbrush. You've got to grab a twig or a branch and dip it into the vibrant colors that you have made from nature's palette. Can you imagine making a masterpiece without brushes or store-bought paint? The artist would use charcoal for black and plant leaves for various colors of green. Flowers like marigolds and hibiscus for pinks and oranges. All of these natural dyes were like a beautiful science experiment. For a long time, this art was only done on the walls. But in the 1960s, a severe drought hit the region, and to help families earn money, women started painting on paper and canvas instead of the walls. And so their art turned into a livelihood. The Madhubani paintings, you see images from nature, moon, fish, bamboos, elephants, peacocks, and scenes from the Hindu epics, even daily village life, especially weddings. Every space is filled with color, leaves, patterns, or geometric shapes, even the background and the borders. And now their art is famous worldwide. They even have several trains painted in this style. All right, we're diving into this colorful art project featuring the peacock, which is the national bird of India. Our focus is going to be creating this masterpiece in the Madhubani style, which is that traditional folk art that we just heard about, full of color and pattern and creativity. But here is a few rules that we're going to need to follow to keep our artwork true to the style. So, one is no empty spaces. Every part of your artwork should be filled with color or design. And I find this to be the trickiest part because our culture tends to leave open spaces. Number 2 is double outlines. You're going to use double outlines to create a bold, defined look. And as I was looking through some of the pieces, oftentimes the bold outline would have a space of white between, and that was the only empty space was between those double outlines. The third and my favorite part of this is that the images don't have to look realistic. You can be imaginative, and you don't have to stick to the natural colors of the peacock. Even though I love the blues and greens, it's so much fun to add different colors. And the borders are important. Frame out your artwork with a decorative border that ties everything together. So because there's so much going on, smaller is better. We're going to pack a lot of detail and use just half a sheet of paper. All right, so we're making a peacock. We're going to start with the letter C, almost exactly in the middle of our paper. It needs to be fairly big. Okay. On the top part of that C, we're going to make a circle. This is going to be the face. Okay. On the bottom part of that C, we're going to make another C. So I'm going to go like this. I'm making a C from the bottom to the top. You could make a C from the top to the bottom. We need a little gap for the beak. Sometimes you could put the beak down here. Sometimes you won't have enough of a gap and you could put the beak out there. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. So what I'm going to do is this is the neck, this is the wing. I'm going to go from neck to wing with another curve. I could probably tuck a beak in here. I'm going to go ahead and try. I'm going to curve a line down, and there's the beak. Okay, this is a peacock. So this is going to be the side wing, and what I'm going to do is make a dot here, connect my C to the dot, with a slightly curved line. It's okay if it doesn't match completely. We're going to go back and outline a second time. It's got top feathers, so I'm going to put some top feathers. It looks like a rooster. That's okay. Now I have an arch. I'm going to use a pencil to show. There's an arch for the tail feathers. I'm going to use that arch to build some scallops all the way around the arch. And then connect those to the center. So I'm just going to make some bumps. If they're not completely even, that is okay. But I'm going to take my time and try to make them go all the way around. We're taking basic shapes and building this peacock. Okay, when I get to the bottom, I'm going to stop. I need to connect this to the body, so I'm going to just make a curved line out and a curved line out. I'm going to then take all of these ridges here and connect them with a straight line to the body, and those will be the feathers. I'm taking my time. My lines are slightly curved to the center, and I stop when I get to a body part. Almost to the beak, and then to that front tail. All right, this peacock needs some legs to stand on, so I'm going to do 2 parallel lines right next to each other, and I'm just going to make a curve. I'm going to wiggle at the bottom to represent the feet. Okay? Now I want my peacock to have a very distinct eye. You could just do a circle. I'm going to go ahead and make an arch above the top of it and put that little highlight in the middle. Okay. Now peacocks have those eyes on their feather, that circle. So I'm going to go around where my pencil line was for the arch. I'm going to draw a circle, and that kind of tells me the middle. Some of them are going to be bigger than another. That's okay. Okay. Now what I want to do is, this style of art fills up every space. So I'm going to make some detailed patterns in the background. I'm just going to do flowers. So I'm doing the centers of my flowers. I'm going to do 3 of them. And then I'm going to do my petals. And in my other classes, I showed you how to do petals. You could do a T and an X, a T and X, and then you connect those to create your petals. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to go up and around. One more. All right, I'm going to need to continue filling the space because of this design has lots of patterns and they fill all the areas. So I am making some squiggles. And those squiggles will have leaves on them. So a little bit away from the vine, I'm making some almond shapes. You could make them teardrops, or you could even make them circles. And you could keep it the same for everyone if you wanted. I'm just giving you some different ideas. Now we heard they like to outline everything with a second line. And I have to say, this is tricky. Do your very best to follow along just inside the line that you already drew. And you can appreciate these masters because they are so close to the other line. And it's like they don't make a single mistake. And I can see my little mistakes. But it just helps me to appreciate their art style that much more. It still turns out nice, even if I'm not perfect in that. So I'm going to do my best to add an outline to this little top of his head. And then inside each one of these shapes, I can add some details as well. I am going to add straight lines out to give it more of the peacock appearance. And then I'm going to outline each one of the feathers. It's a lot about line, right? So I'm going to outline each one of the feathers, taking a line on the inside of what I already drew. All right, now I have to think about filling in the space. I'm actually going to give him some ground to stand on. And I don't like straight lines as much when I'm trying to represent nature. I add bumps. So I'm going to erase my pencil line, that arch that I made for the ring, for the feathers, and figure out what designs I'm going to use to fill the spaces. So you're going to look at your style sheet and think about what designs you want to have within your spaces. So I pulled out my markers that I want to use, and I did a little tester. And I noticed that this purple, which I really love, it's going to be hard to see designs with that purple. So the spaces I fill in purple will just be purple, and I won't have to work on design. Another color that might be kind of difficult to put design on will be the pink. So I think the bigger spaces that those will be the ones that I can do designs on, and the smaller spaces I can use the darker colors because it's going to be hard to do designs with. So I'm going to take my wing here and break it up into two spaces so that I have color and design. And I think I'm going to take leave the head yellow, and you can kind of plan this out with a little sketch. Is there any other place I want the purple? I like the purple so much. I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to actually trace over that line. And this is where you get to be creative. So when I start this project, I like to take my time. Sometimes when I feel like I'm running out of ideas for patterns or colors, I'll set it aside and come back later. Sometimes while I'm listening to an audiobook. I love listening to audiobooks. So this reflective art style, it lets you relax and get lost in creating the repetitive patterns and the bold designs. So this small project took me almost 2 hours to finish. It's a beautiful form of art that's about enjoying creating as much as it is the finished piece. So let's talk a little bit about peacocks as we draw. In India, peacocks roam freely, and once a year, they shed their feathers. Oh, can you imagine hundreds of peacocks molting and leaving behind their long, beautiful feathers? Whoa. Their trains can grow up to 5 feet long. That's taller than most fifth graders. Children in India often collect the feathers as treasures, and they're used in everything from decoration to traditional ceremonies. Remember, peacocks are actually the male birds, the boys, the ones with the vibrant colors and the long trains. The females are called peahens, and they're much smaller and less colorful. Here's something funny. Have you ever heard a peacock call? It's not as pleasant as you might expect. When I was in school, we lived near a zoo with peacocks, and we'd often hear them screaming from blocks away. Now, as you work on your project, keep in mind of your color combinations. Bold, bright colors look amazing in this style. Complementary colors like blue and orange or red and green can really make your designs pop. And don't forget, I have a couple pattern sheets for you to use for inspiration if you need some ideas to fill in your spaces. Okay, so I'm going to keep drawing. When you're done, I would love to see your creation. Send your artwork to gallery@truehughesart.com, and I'll add it to our student galleries for others to admire. I'm so excited to see the amazing peacocks you design. Happy creating! See you next time.